Bronte, I am so excited to have you on the Success with Soul podcast. Please let our audience know who you are. Tell us about you, a little bit about yourself, your business, and your entrepreneurial journey.
Absolutely. So I am Bront'e Singleton. I am a language learning coach and mentor. I'm obsessed with learning languages, and I really want to help other language learners get consistent with their language studies, so that they can actually start using the languages that they're learning. So outside of language learning, I am a huge reader. I love to read. I read every single day. I can't stop. And I also love video games and creative arts. I have too many interests, to be honest.
I'm so curious. How many languages do you know?
So right now, I think it's seven languages. Not all to like complete fluency, but so Spanish, French, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin Chinese, American Sign Language, and Russian are my two newest ones.
In
So,
English.
well, in English, yes.
So, really, it's 8 languages.
Yes, absolutely.
That is the most amazing thing. I have always heard that knowing a lot of languages is the key to everything, right? To be able to really relate to someone. I can tell you that when I travel, I don't speak English, I speak Spanish.
Mhm.
And that really connects me with people like immediately.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that languages are able to bring people together and also open up opportunities for like information that you wouldn't have known before, new experiences that you wouldn't have had before. So I love it. Hence my obsession.
I'm so curious. So, like, what was your main reason for joining the incubator? Like, what led you to the incubator? How did you discover Kate? Spill the tea.
Absolutely. So I think it was somewhere in emails. I think in my beginning journey, I was like downloading and signing up for everything business related because I was like, I don't know what I need. I don't know where to start. I'm just going to sign up for things and then see what like resonates with me and then what doesn't. But I ultimately signed up for the incubator because I want to create a business that is sustainable. I don't want to work for long hours every day. I was a teacher for years and I left that teaching job to focus on the business full time. And I really just want to support other language learners, create the content that I love, still learn languages myself, but also have a life outside of the business and be able to enjoy like relaxing and my do nothing days, you know? So the incubator really supports me in crafting a system that supports all of my goals, both professionally and personally.
I love that. So what was your biggest or what is the biggest risk that you've taken or maybe your biggest challenge that you've had to overcome in your business?
Well, two. The biggest risk was me quitting my job recently to focus on this full time. It
So
was
you're
definitely
all in.
all in. Definitely had like the tears and the like fear, excitement building, but I knew that this was the next step that I needed to take. And then in terms of like risk outside of that, launched a summit back in January, February, and where I had to do my own interviews of language learning mentors and coaches and influencers. And that was big for me because I had to do the entire summit myself. I had to like create the assets and like record the videos and get all the like VIP things ready for people who wanted that access. And the only thing that I had done before were interviews. So I was like used to interviews, but everything else was new. So that was a lot for me, but it was a very, very good experience and I loved it.
Yeah, talk about going outside of your comfort zone. But you know
Yes.
what? That's where the biggest growth happens, right?
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
what immediate impact did being inside the incubator have on your business or, what's been your biggest impact in general? Like what are some wins that you can share with us?
Well, I think the biggest one by far that kind of touches all the other wins is mindset. Really helping me to like see myself as a business owner, a businesswoman, being able to accept that everything's not going to be perfect. I'm a huge perfectionist, and I know that that's something I probably will always carry with me, but I use it strategically. And being in the program immediately helped me to know, okay, this is when you get a little scrappy and you're imperfect. And so I'm not as hard on myself. And then this is the section where I can be a little bit more of a perfectionist and revamp and refine the thing that I already created. But yeah, I think mindset is the biggest thing.
I absolutely love that you say that because I just even in our team meeting on Monday, we were having a conversation about that. And I said, like, I think one of the biggest things that y'all offer inside the incubator that is like not tangible is the
Mhm.
mindset. And it
Yes,
really kind of starts there, right? It's that whole imposter syndrome. Like, if you don't think you can do it, you're not going to do it. So,
absolutely.
gosh, I love that. Are there any tangible wins that you
Yeah,
can
oh
share
yes,
with us?
absolutely. So, I guess the biggest one is I launched my evergreen funnel. So, well, I guess to go backwards, I launched my course. I got some students and then I put that on evergreen. So like the sequence of those things happened back to back over the course of 3 or 4 months. I think that's the
That's amazing. That's
yes.
amazing, especially in the time frame that you did it in. I'm so curious. What's your course?
So my course is the Polyglot Project, and it is a course that helps language learners build that long-term consistency. I have a four-phase system that I created really just based off my own experiences. So getting clear on what it is you're trying to achieve with your language studies and why you want to learn, creating a plan that actually works for you and not like a plan that someone else is using for their language studies, launching that plan and managing things like your time, your energy, and your expectations, and then refining it, which is a huge part of like the process. Make figuring out what worked well, what didn't work, what do you need to add or change or modify, and then just like continuing that cycle again.
So you launched your first course, and did you live launch, or tell me a little bit about the launch?
Yeah, so I definitely live launched it to my audience on like Instagram and my email list. But I'm trying to think, it feels so long ago now.
And it was only
So when
4
I
months
yeah,
ago?
yeah, but
Oh
everything
my.
time it just time is weird right now. But I launched it live and I actually pitched it in like Instagram stories, just saying like, hey, I'm looking for some students. It was really, really scrappy and really imperfect in that way. So I had like a Google Doc where I just wrote down all the different things that I wanted to share about like who I am, what the program's all about, what are the things that are going to be included. And I used like a Google form for my application into the program. I shared lots of stories and emails, and I just was like reaching out to people, talking to my friends and saying, could you share this? So it was really just getting it out there to people and got my students.
And I'm curious, how big is your email list?
My email list is really tiny. So I have about 160 people. But from that email list, I got one student. And then from Instagram, I got another student. And one of the strategies I also use because this was my first launch is I asked a friend to join the program in exchange for testimonials. So she's also someone learning languages, learning Japanese, and has been one of my biggest supporters in this process of building my business. And so that was a way that I could also get some feedback as well.
So did you launch it as a beta?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I did.
Okay. So this
And then
is
I created the content with the students as they were in the program.
perfect.
Yep.
So I'm so glad that you're saying that. So many people think that they have to have all the things done before they
Hmm.
even talk about their course.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I just love that you took so much perfectly imperfect action,
Yeah,
which got you to sales, and you were able to say
absolutely.
like, yes, I did it. And now it's just a windfall of, it's just going to get better and better as your students give you feedback and then you tweak here and there. Gosh, I love it. And then you turn that already into an evergreen funnel.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when I
Bronte,
launched the,
you're like the most amazing incubator client. You're like, yep, I'm going to follow exactly what Kate says, which is exactly what Kate did with like Amy Porterfield. She
Mhm.
took Digital Course Academy and she's like, I followed step by step what she told me to do because she's done it. So I love this.
Yes, I really one of the biggest sort of, I don't want to call it a pressure, but one of the biggest reasons why I immediately went into putting it for Evergreen is because I'm still solo. I'm still doing all of this on my own. And I know that, well, one, I have the offer validated because people bought the offer and I have students now. So I really just wanted to make sure I had a system on the back end that supported people who were coming into the polyglot ether, um, so that I didn't feel overwhelmed. For me, it's really easy to get overwhelmed and to try to do all the little pieces myself. And so creating Evergreen, even though it took a lot of effort, a lot of moving pieces, I know that once it's set up, I don't have to actively manage it day to day. And then I can focus my time and attention on building community and connecting with other language learners and showing them what I do and, all of those things.
I love it. So I guess this question, I don't know if we've almost, you've covered it, but what immediate impact did being inside the incubator have on your business? Like immediate was the
Yeah.
mindset, right? And then
Yeah.
the biggest you would say was the course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So how has your relationship to your business changed over the last 6 to 12 months?
I think my I'm trying to think of how to word it. I think overall, I'm kinder to myself. I think when I started, I was definitely in this mindset like it has to work and I'm going to do the things XYZ and work this many hours to get this done. And once I work these hours, then I can rest and set up, the amount of hours I wanted to work. And I think the immediate change was, oh, I don't have to, post on social media 3 times a day, every day. I don't have to make 3 blog posts a week and send out, X many emails. I can do what's sustainable for me, and that can change and that's fine. And it also helps because a lot of the things that I teach in my program are around the same mindset strategies, but it's almost harder for me to think about it for myself in a different context. So it placed a lot of the things that I knew inherently, but in a different context. So I could be like, oh yeah, you teach your students to like take your time and do what works for you. And now the incubator is teaching you take your time and do what works for you. So
So I'm curious, do you use the cyclical living that we teach inside the incubator to kind of give yourself some time to like rest?
yes, absolutely. So I think the biggest way that I use it is when I'm ever feeling like, oh, I don't want to do this task, even though it was set on my schedule. That's when I refer back to the cyclical living and I go, oh, I'm clearly in this phase right now. So then let me just do that instead. And it's fine. And again, thinking about being kinder to myself, it helps me to be kinder to myself because I used to think a lot about how I would interact with my community or even just like networking. And there would be days or even like a week where I don't want to talk to anyone and I would feel bad about it. But like, you're not a good business owner. You're not a good person in not wanting to talk to other people. And then I had to learn that no, you're just in a phase right now where you just want to retreat and go into your like hermit phase, and that's fine.
I first of all, I love that you are giving yourself grace. I love that you are being kinder to yourself. And I feel like you can apply that to business and to your personal, and that is a huge win. I love it.
Absolutely.
So what would you say is like one word to describe your experience inside of the incubator?
Um, I feel unbelievable. I think just
Oh,
unbelievable to encompass all the other things.
that's amazing. So, I've been doing these interviews highlighting our amazing incubator clients, and I've had people say community, I've had people say team, and now here you are saying unbelievable. So that's
Mhm.
amazing. As someone inside of Team KK, you have no idea how it makes me feel that we have clients that use these words to describe what we're trying to do.
Well, if it
It's
helps, I will
validating
say
for us as well.
if I could be in this program forever, I would be in this program forever. Like
Be
I
with us
absolutely
forever. This is meant to be forever. We want you
yes.
forever. So, Bronte, now we're getting to the part of the podcast where we call the lightning round. And so
Yes.
I'm just going to ask you a set of questions. Don't overthink it, just whatever comes to mind.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
So, the first one is, what's your favorite way to make time for self care while running your own business?
Okay. So I tend to sprinkle self-care throughout my day because when I try to set it as like a set time for a long period of time, like an hour, even 30 minutes, I tend to go, oh, well, I don't really want to do that right now. I want to do this business thing. But if I sprinkle it 5 minutes here and there, it adds up. And it also gives me that mental break away from the work.
I love that. And what is one tool or strategy that you use to help with time management?
So I use something similar to the Eisenhower matrix. It's actually set up in my Notion because I use Notion for everything, where basically every time I write down a task on my to-do list, I map out the effort and the impact that it takes. So what's
What
the
is this?
impact of this?
What is this called? Does this have a
I
name?
don't remember what it's called, but
Okay.
I if I remember the name, I'm gonna share it with you. But essentially, it's looking at okay, how and personally, how much effort is this task going to take, low, medium, or high, and then what's the impact of that? And if the impact is high, for example, but the effort is low, then it's gonna automatically set it up to say, do that right now because it's necessary. Versus if it's low impact and high effort, it's gonna go way down on the list of to dos. But know that it's still something that I probably should get done, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, just so you know, once you start growing your team, you'll be able to delegate those to
Yes.
your team so
Yes.
that you are just focusing on low effort, high impact tasks.
Yes.
I like that actually. I think that's why I was like, oh, is that like an app? But I guess that's just something that you
Yeah.
would need to.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know if it was in like a book that I read or a website, but I know I adapted it on Notion, but I would definitely look it up and try to figure out the name and share it.
so that's what you use, Notion?
Yes, Notion.
I love Notion. I'm a visual learner, so
Mhm.
I the look of Notion is unlike any other project management tool
Yes.
by far.
Yes. I love the customability and just like being able to create all the different pages. And I'm also a tech person, so I like all
Oh,
the functions that I get to add to make it like really neat and like extra functional.
oh gosh. Wow. You know, you should teach Notion inside of the incubator.
Oh, I that
Yeah,
sounds
like maybe
amazing.
have a guest session because I
Yeah.
guarantee you there's a lot of people. Notion is one of those that people are like, "Oh, I don't know. It's so different from Asana and ClickUp. It's so
Yeah.
different from Trello. It's just Monday, all of it. It's a very different app."
Yeah,
And I
because
feel
it's like
that
a
the
blank
people
slate.
that love it, love it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's so true.
So, speaking of, you said you read every day, you love to read. I'm so curious. What's the most like powerful business or mindset or entrepreneurial book that you've ever read or that you reference again and has made the biggest difference in your life?
Oh, actually, I have it over here so I can show how much I actively use it. There are stickies all over. Atomic Habits is the book
Oh,
that
of course.
I absolutely love.
Yeah. James
I think a
Clear.
lot of yes, James Clear. So this is a book that, a lot of the ideas I already used in my language studies and when I was crafting my framework, it was something that I already thought about. But Atomic Habits gave me the language to articulate those ideas and also the strategies to help other people build their own habits for language learning. So all the time I'm referencing and pulling out quotes and pulling out examples. And
Yeah. Everyone in TKK, that's actually part of on our onboarding process.
yes,
That's in our Team KK library. We've
like
all read
must
Atomic
read.
Habits. I love it. So, this is mindset, which I love because it's one of the things that you have mentioned. what's your favorite quote or mantra or affirmations? Like when things
Mhm.
get tough and you feel like giving up, this is
Yeah.
what you rely on.
See, I am a huge quote person, so it's hard for me to choose just one. I actually wrote it down. Can I share 3?
So freaking lootly.
Okay. So the first one is a quote that I have carried with me since I was 16, which is success is largely a matter of hanging on after others have let go. And this is something that when I first decided I wanted to be a writer and write books, that I knew I had to hang on even though things got tough, so that I could see the success that I wanted. The next one is success doesn't come from what you do occasionally, it comes from what you do consistently. The spirit of consistency. And then the one that I share all the time with my language learning friends and students is the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. To know that you have to put in the work now and, nurture that in order to see the result that you're trying to see. It's not going to happen quickly, or it's not always going to happen quickly, but you still have to try and put in that work every day.
Bronte, I'm going to use that for my son. That's a good one, right? Because I feel like in this day and age, everyone has the I want it now syndrome.
Yeah.
That one feels very appropriate. The day you plant the
Hmm.
seed is not the day you see the fruit. I love that. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for sharing that. And so finally, we're on the Success with Soul podcast, right?
Yes.
So, what does success with soul mean to you?
So success with soul means to me achieving your goals and sort of building the habits of the kind of person you want to be, both professionally and personally, but also staying true to who you are, your voice, your vision, your heart. It's about um, connecting connecting authentically with your community, but also remembering that you're still human, that you still have fears, you still have feelings, you still need breaks, and really creating a system around what's supporting you in achieving those goals while also like managing your time, your energy, and your expectations. It's like what's going to help you achieve your goals and also take care of yourself. And that's what I feel Success with Soul is all about.
I love that. I think Kate would be thrilled that that's the way you identify with success with soul. Bronte, please tell our audience where can they find you?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram, on TikTok, all at the Polyglot Fox. I also created for any language learner who is trying to get consistent with their language studies a masterclass where I talk about the reasons why language learners are stuck in not being able to stay consistent with their language studies, what they need to do instead, and like the big mistakes that they're making, as well as my step-by-step process. So that's all at thepolyglotfox.com/systems. And I also just shameless plug that I share an additional guide. So the top 10 ways to boost your motivation as a language learner. But I think these strategies work for boosting your motivation even outside of language learning. If you're just feeling like you're not able to get that inspiration to do a task, those are the 10 strategies that I recommend. So that's where you can find me everywhere.
Perfect. So we are definitely going to put all these links on the show notes so everyone can connect with Bronte. Thank you so much for being on the Success with Soul podcast.
Thank you.
It had been such a pleasure to get to know you, to get to know your business. This is actually the first time I've ever heard of a business model like yours. And I'm thrilled because I'm a lover of languages myself. I'm so excited that you're inside the incubator, and I'm even more excited to see all the growth that is to come.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
Thank you so much, Bronte.
Thank you, Indira.